Welcome to today's yoga session. Today we're going to finish with a short sound meditation, and that will focus on three areas of the body: the chest, the throat and the brow center. So we'll begin with some rotations followed by a posture sequence that are going to be focusing particularly on those three areas. So we'll start with some rotations, perhaps just loosening up the neck a little bit. So taking the neck over to one side, bringing the right ear down towards the right shoulder. You can just apply a little gentle pressure, more using the weight of the arm to stretch out the side of the neck. And lifting slowly back up and stretching out the right side of the neck. And then with the neck upright, turning the head to the right. And again, you could just apply a slight pressure. Coming back through the center and over to the left. And then with the hands interlinked on the back of the head, using more the weight of the arms here, lengthening out the back of the neck. And lifting up, we can keep the hands there for support as we open up the chest, take the elbows back, and coming back to an upright position. And rolling the shoulders, nice large circles with the shoulders, up at the front, down at the back. Feeling the shoulder blades moving up and down, out to the sides, towards each other. Going in the opposite direction. And then taking the arms in circles. We could have one hand on the shoulder here. Nice wide circles with the arms. Feeling out the shoulder joints. And the other way. To the other side. Rotating the arm out and back as you go around in circles. And then we can just take the shoulders up to the ears and drop down. And then taking the arms out to the sides. And moving the arms in circles. First in one way and then the other direction. And then with the arms level, just relax the shoulders down. And then rotating the arms from the shoulder joint, so turning the palms face up and then turning them back and around to point behind you. Trying to keep the shoulder blades down. And then shaking the arms out. We can bring the feet together to a few arm raises. Breathing in as you lift the arms, stretching up, breathing out as you lower. Feeling the energy rising as you breathe in, energy moving back down into the ground as you breathe out. And we can come up onto the balls of the feet as well if your balance is feeling good, stretching up as you breathe in, trying to lower the Heels slowly down as you exhale. One more lift, hold the lift. Maybe get a little extra height, feeling those calf muscles squeezing, and then lowering slowly back down. And we bring the right hand on the left shoulder, left hand on the right shoulder, crossing the elbows over each other and lifting and lowering the elbows. And then take the arms out to the sides, draw them back, and then we bring the left hand onto the right shoulder, the right hand onto the left shoulder. And again, raising, lowering the elbows. So then we bring the hands onto the hips, take the feet a little bit apart. We can do some rotations around the base of the spine. So these can be quite small circles. If you've got any issues with the lower back, keep the circles nice and small. Otherwise you could start to make the circles a little bigger. But think about the back remaining straight. And then we go in the opposite direction. Coming back to the centre, we'll just start to loosen up the hips a little bit by taking the pelvis in circles. Here you're attempting to keep the legs straight. Try and keep the shoulders roughly over the feet. Just moving the pelvis in circles. You should feel all the movements coming from the hip joints. And once more, going in the opposite direction. And then finally just give the arms a good shake out. And give each leg a good shake out. Excellent, so we're going to come down into a child posture to begin with. So come into your comfortable child posture, either with the knees together or slightly apart, but if the knees are slightly apart, have the legs parallel, so the feet are also slightly apart. So adopt a position that's comfortable for you, either with the arms stretched out in front or the arms back along the sides next to the feet. Take a few moments to settle the body into the position. And then we're beginning to engage with the breath. Keep the lower jaw relaxed, breathe through the nostrils, observing where the breath is going. Into the chest, into the back, into the stomach. And begin to lengthen each breath. Just a little bit, keep it comfortable, and feel that you're breathing mostly into the rib cage. That includes into the upper back. And as you finish each out breath, Start to engage the lower abdominal muscles and the perineum, the pelvic floor, and holding on to that light toning as you begin the next in-breath. Focusing on the in-breath, expanding into the area of the heart. Focusing on the end of the out-breath, on the toning of the perineum and the lower abdominal muscles. Feeling the breath lengthening, and if you wish you could introduce the soft sounds at the back of the throat. Becoming aware of the feel of the body, how the body is feeling at this time today. And then on your next inhalation, coming into the upright kneeling position, raising the arms, stretching up the front of the body, perhaps looking up. And then exhaling, sinking back down onto the heels, arms stretched out in front. And then inhaling to all fours, lengthen up the front of the body, looking forwards, tuck the toes, exhaling, downward facing dog, keep the legs bent as we begin the sequence, and then we inhale back to all fours. Exhale, sinking back onto the heels. And we'll do that process a few times. So as you inhale, we come to the upright kneeling position, raising the arms. Exhaling, sinking back down to the heels. Inhaling to all fours, opening the chest. Exhaling, pushing back to downward facing dog. Inhaling to all fours. Exhaling, sinking back down to the heels. We'll do that 2 more times in your own time. Keeping the breath flowing nice and evenly, so that the breath lasts a little bit longer than each movement. Perhaps maintaining that feel at the back of the throat. Keeping the body moving, keeping the breath moving. One last time. And we come back to downward facing dog. We'll hold the downward facing dog. And we can do a few movements here. Just stretching out the legs. A little bit of walking the dog. Maybe coming up onto the balls of the feet, stretching out the upper body. And do a bit of side stretching, so bending one knee, moving the pelvis in that direction, stretching the opposite side of the body. Doing these nice and slowly, no jogging in place. Just feeling our way. And then stepping forwards with the right foot, coming into a runner's lunge. You can place the left knee down, lifting the chest, stretching out that back leg, keeping the hips square with the front of the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Step forwards, left foot. Shift it forwards if you need to get to the front left hand. Upright chest, head upright, stretching down the thigh muscles of the right leg. Step forwards with the right foot, We can lift and lengthen into the half forward bend. Exhale, full forward bend, allowing the knees to bend. Inhaling, press down through the feet, come all the way up. Stretch the arms up, bring the hands back down to the sides. Do a little side stretching and take the feet slightly apart. Raising the right arm, stretching over to the left. A little bit extra pressure down through the right foot. Maybe turning the head to face the ceiling. Right hand down, left hand up, stretch it over to the right. A couple more times to each side. So do this with the breath, of course. Exhale as you stretch. Try and keep the palm face down, so keep thinking about the little finger side of the palm of the hand tilting downwards. One more time, maybe stretching a little bit further. And then, if you're not already, back to the front of the mat, we'll do some half forward bends, so feet together. Inhale, stretching up. Exhale, folding forwards. Allow the knees to bend slightly as you bring the upper body down, head down. Inhale to the half forward bend, straightening the legs, keeping the neck in line with the spine. Exhaling, drawing on the lower abdomen as you fold forwards. Inhaling, and keep the knees a little bit bent as you come up. Press down through the soles of the feet, stretching up. Exhaling, bringing the hands down to the sides. Inhaling, stretching up. Exhaling, folding forwards. Again, bending at the knees slightly. Inhaling, half forward bend. Exhaling, full forward bend. Inhaling all the way up. Exhaling, hands down to the sides. Last time. Inhaling. Exhaling as we fold from the hips. Inhaling as we open the chest, lengthen forwards. Exhaling as we fold into Uttanasana. We'll hold the forward bend for a few breaths, with legs maybe starting to stretch out a little bit more now. Keeping the chest open. And then planting the palms, step back with the left foot. We're going to come into a raised runner. So you can do this with the knee on the floor if that's more comfortable for you. Otherwise, just making sure the knees are over the heel. Raising the arms. Pushing back through the left heel if you've got the leg raised. And then we can keep the right arm raised, bring the left hand down to the floor. You could have a block or a brick here, rotate the body to the right. And then we're trying to lift up, so just tentatively lift that left hand and then see if we can come up to the upright position, turning to look behind you, body facing the right. And then wheeling that right hand back down, stepping forwards. Inhale to the half forward bend. Exhale, full forward bend. Hold the forward bend for a few breaths. Plant the palms, step back with the right foot. Lifting up to the raised runner, opposite side. Again, you can have the right knee on the floor. Raising the arms. keeping the left hand raised, bring the right hand to the floor. Turn the body to the left. And then we can see if we can lift up here, so pressing down through the left foot, start to just lift that right hand as it want to come up, maintaining the balance, lifting up, facing to the left. And then arcing the left hand back down, and we'll step back to a downward facing dog. So we pause here, allow the breath to settle if you want. Come back down to a child posture. And then stepping forwards with the right foot, we're going to come up into a warrior one position. So left heel down, bring the hands up onto the front knee, just check that back foot, think about the toes pointing somewhere towards the front, the left corner of the mat. Check the hips are square. Begin by raising the arms, opening the chest, stretching out through the left leg. Imagine you're trying to rotate the left foot outwards. And then we're going to bring the hands down and clasp them behind you. So you can actually in this position keep the elbows a little bent to help keep the chest open. And then lowering into what's called humble warrior. Bringing the chest down to the side of the knee, raising the arms up behind you. Raising the arms up towards the ceiling. And then bringing both hands to the floor. Stepping back with the right foot into a plank. You can put the knees down straight away or just hold this for a moment or two. And then lowering down to the floor. Knees first or low and whole body at once. Point the toes, draw the elbows towards each other. Rocking the chest upwards to a half cobra. Push back through all fours. Sink down onto the heels and keep the toes tucked under. And then come forwards through all fours again to an upward facing dog. And then push back to downward facing dog. And then to the other side, stepping forwards with the left foot. Right heel down to the floor. Checking the position of the back foot, toes pointing to the front, right corner of the mat. Squaring the hips, raising the arms. Imagine that you're trying to rotate the right foot outwards. And then bringing the hands down, clasping the hands behind. Maybe keeping the elbows a bit bent. Feeling it open across the collarbone. And then falling forwards into humble warrior, bringing the arms up behind you towards the ceiling. And then both hands down to the floor. Step back with the left foot. Bring the knees down to the floor straight away, or hold the plank. Lowering down, knees first, or you could try lowering the whole body slowly together. Point the toes. Bring the elbows towards each other, rocking up into gentle cobra. And then push back through all fours to a child posture. Holding the child posture, allowing the breath to settle. Breath slowing down, but being aware of the breath coming into the upper body, into the chest, into the back of the body. Being aware at the end of each out breath of engaging the lower abdominal muscles. And then stretching the arms out, coming up to all fours and lowering down into a prone position. We'll come into the Sphinx posture. So we're going to bring the elbows roughly under the shoulders. Palms are gripping the floor. Pulling on the floor to try and pull the chest forwards. Feel the shoulder blades moving down the back. Keep the legs engaged. Push away a little bit through the big toes to keep the feet in line. So lower down, and we'll take the arms forwards and out to the sides a little bit and coming up onto the fingertips. Lift the elbows, but feel the shoulders dropping down. And then coming up into this variation on the cobra posture. We can do a little bit of slow movement from side to side as well. This is called intoxicated cobra. Just going gently, seeing how your back feels. Don't want any crunching in the lower back. Think of all this as being about opening the chest. Coming to the centre, lifting up a little bit more, lowering back down. You can rest the head on the forearms, rock the pelvis from side to side. And then we'll stretch the arms out in front and lifting the right leg, keeping the leg straight, pointing it away through the big toe. And lowering, lifting the left leg. And then lifting the right leg and the left arm at the same time. Lowering, lifting the right arm and the left leg. Left arm, right leg. Right arm, left leg. And then lifting both arms and both legs together. As though you're hovering. Lowering back down. And pushing back to a child posture once more. Lengthening the body over the knees. And focusing this time particularly on the breath coming into the upper back. Taking any tension out of the lower back, out of the spine. And then we'll lift up into Vajrasana. So some various choices here. We can keep the feet together and sit on the heels. Or you can take the feet slightly apart, keeping the knees together and sit between the feet. If you want to come into this position, then as usual you could use some blocks, or I've got a cushion here so you can place a cushion between the feet to help. And we place the hands on the knees to begin with and think about lengthening up through the spine, drawing the shoulders down, opening across the collarbone. Relaxing the face muscles. And then lifting both arms, stretching up. And then turning to your left, bringing the hands down, coming into a twist. So right hand's outside the knee, left hand somewhere behind you. We can breathe in to lift upwards. And as we exhale, turning a little bit more to the left. Inhaling, we come back to the front, raising the arms. Exhaling, turning to the right. Inhaling, holding the position but lengthening upwards. Exhaling, turning a little bit more to the right. Inhaling, coming to the front, raising the arms. Exhaling to the left. Inhaling, holding but lifting. Exhaling a little bit more, turn to the left. Inhaling to the front, raising the arms. Exhaling to the right. Inhaling, lifting but holding. Exhaling, rotate a little bit more to the right. Inhaling, coming back to the front, stretching the arms up. Exhaling, bringing the hands back down to the knees. So we'll come into the eagle warrior arm position, taking the right arm up, left arm comes around behind, bringing the right hand down. If you haven't got a strap handy and can't reach the hands, just grab hold of the back of the shirt. And thinking about right elbow moving up, out and back. And then reversing, stretching the left arm up, dropping it behind you. Right hand comes round, again grabbing hold of the shirt or your fingertips. And releasing back down, and then we can release the feet to bring the legs forwards. Bounce the legs up and down. And then bending the legs at the knees, bringing the feet flat to the floor. And we'll do some loin stretches. So we'll take the arms out in front. Lengthening forwards, bringing the chest between the knees. Inhaling, coming back. As you come back, chest open, we keep the lower spine lifting by using the abdominal muscles. A few times with the breath in your own time, coming forwards on the exhale. Coming back just as far as is comfortable on the inhale. Upright and stretching the legs out, and then we can come into forward bend, Paschimottanasana. If you've got a strap, you could use that. You don't need the strap, however. We'll begin in Dandasana, the legs straight, the feet flexing, hands somewhere near the hips, drawing the elbows back, lifting up through the chest. Engage the pelvic floor, the lower abdominal muscles. And then raising the arms, stretching up the front of the chest. And then folding forwards, just seeing how far you come. You could bend the knees at this point to allow the upper weight to fold further forwards. See if you can reach the feet. If you can't, just keep the hands on the floor. And working slowly into the forward bend. So inhale into the chest moving forwards, exhaling, perhaps folding a little bit more from the hips. So getting as far as is comfortable for you, holding that stretch. You might find after about 30 seconds or so that you can stretch a little bit more. If the legs are bent, you could just experiment with pushing away to the heels. And then coming back up on an inhalation. We'll come into a twist, Marichyasana, bending the left knee, foot flat to the floor. Rotating the body to the left, so left hand behind you, hugging the knee with the right arm, draw the body up, rotate a little bit further. Push away through the right heel, keep the right foot upright. Coming back round to the front, bend the right leg, stretch out the left leg. Inhale into your upright position, exhaling, rotating to the right. And pushing away a little bit through the left heel. And then we're just going to finish off the asana section with a little pranayama. We'll do the Nadi Shodhana before coming into Shavasana for about 5 minutes. So get into a comfortable seated position. So in all these seated positions, you ideally want the knees to be level with or below the level of the hip creases. So if that means sitting on a cushion, that's a good thing to do. Or you could kneel. Or since you're at home, you could just bring in a straight back chair, and that's great as well. If you've got a straight back chair, you want to make sure the feet are nicely in contact with the floor. So if the chair's a little bit high for you, use books to represent the floor. So a couple of books under the feet, or your yoga block. So check your posture. Awareness of the slight engagement of the core muscles. Chin is level. Relaxing the jaw. So then we'll do the alternate nostril breathing. So we'll have the hand in Vishnu Mudra. So we've got the first finger and the middle finger down, and we'll start by blocking off the right nostril, just a light touch really, and then we breathe in through the left nostril. We'll close both nostrils, just pause briefly, and then releasing the right nostril, breathe out through the right nostril. And then breathing in through the right nostril. Close off both nostrils briefly. Breathe out through the left nostril. Breathing in through the left. The breathing is silent, and not using the Ujjayi breath. Pause on the inhale, breathe out through the right nostril. So continue in your own time. Don't need to count exactly, but we're trying to keep the breaths roughly equal. And as you breathe nice and slowly and smoothly, feeling the mind settling. And then we'll introduce a slightly longer hold on the in-breath. So next time you breathe in, just pinching off both nostrils, just lightly holding them. And we'll hold the breath. Again, just as long as it's comfortable, it may be about the same time as the length of each in-breath and out-breath. And breathing out through the opposite nostril. So you could do this with a count, you could do this with a count of 4. Breathing in for an inhalation for a count of 4. Holding the in-breath for 4. Breathing out through the opposite nostril for 4. But if you want to breathe in and out and hold for longer, you could do that, or for less time. And then finishing on an inhale, holding the breath. And then releasing. So trying to maintain that sense of stillness, we'll come into Shavasana. We're going to hold Shavasana for about 5 minutes and then finish off the session with a sound meditation. So in your own time, coming into Shavasana, stretching out the legs, having the feet a little bit wider than the hips width, and that enables the feet just to roll out under their own weight to the sides, so you're aware that the legs are rotating outwards slightly from the hip joints. And give the shoulders a wriggle and have the arms a little way from the sides of the body, sufficiently far that the arms can rotate outwards from the shoulder joints. So the palms are face up. You can just push the palms down towards the floor, rather than push the thumbs down towards the floor and then release. Allow the fingers to curl naturally. You can lengthen out the back of the neck by pushing the top of the head backwards, drawing the chin in towards the collarbone, and then release, allow the chin to come back up. Something else you might try to do is to bring the hands under the head and just draw the neck out with your hands, and then release the head down. Bring the arms back to the sides. Allowing the whole body to come to stillness. Releasing the breath. Relaxing the muscles of the jaw. Relaxing all the muscles around the skull and the face, and neck, releasing the shoulders and the upper arms, and the lower arms, and the hands. Releasing all the tension around the chest and the stomach and the whole of the back of the body. Releasing any tension in the hips, muscles, and the knees, the lower legs, and the feet. Feeling the whole of the legs relaxed, the whole of the arms relaxed, the whole of the upper body, the whole of the head. Feeling the whole body completely still, completely relaxed. So then allowing the breath to start to lengthen, taking some deeper inhalations, longer exhalations, and bringing movement back into the body, moving the fingers, the toes, moving the hands and feet. So the next session, or the next section of this session, will be doing a little bit of meditation. So you can slowly come back up to a seated position. If you prefer, you could remain lying down in a semi-supine position with the feet flat to the floor. But otherwise, in your own time, lolling over to one side, slowly coming back to a seated position. And as before, we want to be in a comfortable breathing position. So either sitting cross-legged on a cushion or some blocks, or kneeling, or sitting on that straight back chair. It's perfectly fine. So we're going to practice a little bit of what's called, what might be called nada yoga, which is sound yoga, meditation through the use of sound. So we will be making a simple sound. It's going to be based around the Sanskrit letter A, or the letter A in any alphabet. We'll be using the sound ah, And you can do this out loud, ideally to start with. You could do it loudly, or you could do it quite softly. Or if you prefer not to make any audible sound, you can actually do this by just imagining or producing the sound. But if you're doing that, then just sort of go through the movements in the throat that will be producing the sound. And then just imagine the sound. So you've got those choices. We'll just start by just relaxing the face a little bit, relaxing the jaw, so you can just move the jaw from side to side. Move the jaw up and down, from side to side. If anybody's been doing the Gareth Malone choir practices, we could have a go. One of his exercises is going to be, so we could do the large face, small face, and then wide face, and long face. So it's a nice exercise to relax the face muscles. Let's go through that a couple more times. So large face, small face, wide face, long face, large face, small face, wide face, long face. That's great, okay. So then we're going to be producing the sound R from the back of the throat. So we want to really relax the jaw. So the jaw is lowering down, relaxing around here. And then we can just experiment by producing a little sound. See how that feels. Can be at any pitch that feels comfortable for you. You want to feel you're producing a nice resonance within the mouth. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is trying to place that sound in 3 different parts of the body. And we're going to begin with the area of the heart. So we're going to make the sound of R 3 times. And I want you to imagine that the sound is coming from the area of the heart. So I think we can do this together. And as I say, make the sound out loud to make it quite quiet, or if you wish, make no sound at all, but just imagine the sound coming from the area of the heart. So taking an ordinary breath in, and then producing the R sound. And after each sounding, just allow the body to come to stillness, allow the mind to still, and become aware of any effect that the sound is making in your body or in your mind. So we'll try that a second time, taking an ordinary breath in. Relaxing the body, just feeling any resonance of the sound within the body or within the mind. And last time, imagining the sound coming from the area of the heart, taking a breath. And once more, sitting quietly, just feeling the effects of the sound. imagine that it's coming from an area within the throat. The area you want to use is actually referred to as the ear root. And can imagine following the ear canals down from each side of the skull, meeting at a point within the throat. So if you imagine that area within the throat, and we're going to produce the sound R 3 times from that point within the throat. So taking a breath, and together, and once again pausing, becoming aware of any effect of the sound. Once more, breathing in. Third time, breathing in, feeling for the resonance of the sound. And lastly, bringing the sound up to the area of the brow center, sounding the R sound 3 times, imagining sound emanating from the center of the brow. Taking an in-breath, bringing the focus to the brow center. And the second time, taking an in-breath. And third time. And then we'll bring the hands together in front of the chest. Just sitting still, being aware of the body. then with the thought that we can take that calmness, feeling of being centered, out into the rest of your day. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.